Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and today we are talking Argus. And no, I am not going to make the joke that you all think I'm going to make, okay? In fact, let's get this out of the way straight up, right? In this video, we will be discussing the planet Argus in World of Warcraft, homeworld of the Eredar, headquarters of the Burning Legion, and our confirmed destination in Legion patch 7.3. We are not talking the popular British chain of catalogue retail stores. So let's make one thing clear, okay? There will be no Argos jokes in this video. Not a single one. This is a serious video about a serious matter, and we don't have time to waste with stupid jokes, because I know how people hate that, even though, you know, there are loads of jokes you could do if you wanted. I mean, it's a fucking treasure trove, really, isn't it? You could fill a book with all the Argos jokes just crying out to be said. A thick book, like this thick, and laminated. A laminated book of dreams, if you will. But no, my promise to you, no Argos jokes. So in this video, we are looking ahead to patch 7.3 and our assault on Argus. What is Argus? What does it look like? Who will we find there? What will we do there? And what is the patch going to consist of? And of course, at the time of recording, nothing has actually been revealed about 7.3, and most of this is just pure speculation, like Doomfist in Overwatch or Tom Cruise's sexuality. But there are some tantalizing and pretty interesting clues throughout Legion as to what we might expect from Argus. So join us as we attempt to connect the dots and see where we end up as we talk about World of Warcraft Legion patch 7.3 and the assault on Argus. Okay, go. So what is Argus, and why is it important? What is it about heading there in 7.3 that has got the player base so excited? Well, Argus is a planet, the other side of the universe from our own Azeroth, and the homeworld of the Eredar. This is an Eredar. They look quite familiar, don't they? Yes, that's right. They bear more than a passing resemblance to Klingon, I mean Draenei, don't they? And that's because Draenei are exiled Eredar and originally from Argus. Now, I've already given a pretty comprehensive and serious history of Argus in a previous video, so rather than repeat myself, I'm just going to make you watch that.
Basically, Kil'Jaden, Archimonde, and Velen were the three leaders of the Eredar until the Burning Legion came along. Archimonde and Kil'Jaden go, "Hey, that sounds brilliant." Velen said, "No, that sounds shit." And that's your history lesson. Hope you enjoyed it.
Just in case you didn't get that, Sargeras was so impressed with just how awesome and powerful the Eredar were that when he arrived at Argus with the Burning Legion, instead of just destroying it like he did pretty much every other planet, he decided to make the Eredar his elite force and the planet the main headquarters of his demon armies. Two of the three Eredar leaders, Archimonde and Kil'Jaden, were totally up for that, but Velen really wasn't, being all triggered just because the Burning Legion is a demonic horde whose sole purpose is the destruction of all life in the universe, fucking snowflake, and escaped with a handful of his people in the Exodar, with the Burning Legion chasing them down ever since. And ever since is quite a long time, because this all happened 25,000 years ago now, which is probably why Velen's got such a long beard, you know. Draenei means exiled ones. And in the meantime, those Eredar left under the Legion's influence have mostly turned red for some reason and are now known to the Draenei as the Manari, or unnatural beings. So Argus is a big deal because it's where the main nervous system of the Burning Legion is based, and taking it essentially means defeating the Burning Legion. In the same way that if you destroy Johnny Depp, that would be the end of Tim Burton's career. There could be no more Tim Burton movies ever, and that might seem just a little bit extreme, but seriously, I am one ruined childhood movie away from doing it myself. And since Sargeras and the Burning Legion have long been portrayed as the ultimate big baddies of Warcraft, and yes, I know that's not the case officially anymore, but that doesn't stop what I've just said being true. Defeating them really is as big as it gets, lore-wise, in World of Warcraft. Yes, for now, I know, but you get what I'm saying. This is why when Velen turns around and says,
"We are going home,"
and Illidan turns around and says,
"Follow me into the abyss,"
most WoW players get that familiar little tingle. No, not that tingle in your legs after a 12-hour gaming session which tells you there's a blood clot on its way and it really would be a good idea just to stand up and walk around just for a little bit. The other tingle, the excited tingle that tells you some big shit is about to go down. So if taking the fight to Argus is how we defeat the Burning Legion, why didn't we do it ages ago? I mean, surely we could have saved ourselves a whole lot of hassle by just going over there and slapping the demons around earlier. It might even have been easier if we'd done it while, you know, loads of our greatest warriors were still alive. Why has it taken so long? Well, one reason is because Argus is fucking miles away. Seriously, it took the Draenei 25,000 years of space travel to get from Argus to Azeroth, and granted, they did stop for a bit a couple of times along the way, most notably on Draenor, and yes, everyone was really pleased they did that. But at the very best, it's a bit of a trek, put it that way. That's why Sargeras and the Legion are so obsessed with opening portals the whole time. Getting from Argus to Azeroth any other way is a massive pain in the tail, which raises the rather tantalizing question: how are we supposed to get there? Because I know Velen is getting the Exodar back up and running and everything, but I'm not being funny, Velen. 25,000 years is a long time to wait for 7.3. I'm not sure the majority of player base is really going to stick around that long, even if some might actually have managed to max out their artifact by then. But still, if we're going to Argos, then we're probably going to have to take a leaf out of the big burning Legion book of space travel, and it's probably going to have to be via portal. And it just so happens that the last boss in the Tomb of Sargeras raid in the upcoming 7.2 patch is none other than Kil'Jaden the Deceiver himself. And if there's one thing we know about Kil'Jaden, it's that he really loves portals. Like, really loves them. Him and Archimond, portals are like their thing, you know. If you're ever stuck for a Christmas present for Kil'Jaden, it's portals. All the way. Can't go wrong with a portal. And I should probably warn you that this is a tiny spoiler for 7.2, so if you don't know anything about the Kil'Jaden fight and you don't want to know, then skip to the timestamp on the screen now. And we know that once we fought our way through the Tomb of Sargeras, we will eventually fight Kil'Jaden on his interdimensional disco ship. I know, this is a day I thought would never happen, but here I am using the words interdimensional disco ship in a video about World of Warcraft. Life is so good right now, you have no idea. This is where the Kil'Jaden fight happens. Clearly, there is a big portal at the very bottom of the Tomb of Sargeras, or maybe not at the bottom, because I still think this would be a really good place for a massive portal to appear. But anyway, there's a portal that the Legion is trying to come through for a change, but we push them back all the way to, and I'm so glad I get to say this again, Kil'Jaden's interdimensional disco ship, and that is likely our ticket onto Argus itself, which is awesome. But what is Argus going to look like? What can we expect to see there? And what on earth are we going to do? And who are we going to kill once we find ourselves at the other side of the universe? So we think we know what Argus looks like from the outside, at least. No, not this. This. When Gul'dan rips a hole in time and space at the top of the Night Spire to try and bring his master through using Illidan's body as host, this is what we see the other side. And I'm willing to put a bet on this being our first in-game glimpse of Argus itself. And from space, at least, it appears much like what you'd expect a planet overrun by demons to look like, with a huge scar of fellfire across the surface of a once beautiful and culturally rich world. But what about the surface itself? What kind of planet is Argus going to be once we get there and actually set foot in the Legion's backyard? Because I know what you think it's going to look like. No, not this. This. Because this is what Legion stuff looks like. If there's one thing we all know about the Burning Legion, it's that they love green, and not in the way that, say, Cheech and Chong love green, which is charming and results in loads of hilarious adventures. This is more like Mountain Dew type green, okay? It's luminous, it gets you really aggressive, and seriously, once you spill it somewhere, those stains are impossible to get out. This shit is dirty and corrupting, and we've seen the damage it can cause throughout the history of World of Warcraft. So you think Argus is going to look like Hellfire Citadel, or the Broken Shore, or the Warlock Order Hall, but what if I told you that I think you're wrong? Because I don't think that Argus is going to be very green at all. Partly for the obvious reasons, in that we have just had a Hellfire Citadel and a Broken Shore. The whole of patch 7.2 is going to be greener than a seasick Grinch. I really don't think that Blizzard is going to be happy with the same aesthetic for 7.3 straight afterwards. And there's another reason that I don't think Argus is going to be the standard painting by numbers Legion corrupted planet, and that's the Eredar, or the Manari. When people get corrupted by fell energy, they get green. Green slime, green glow, green skin, the whole shebang. But look at the Eredar who live there. They generally don't follow that aesthetic at all. Either they have been turned red, or they seem relatively untainted by the fell. The Eredar have got their own thing going on. And why wouldn't they? Although Argos is the headquarters of the Burning Legion, it's not necessarily where loads of demons hang out. They're generally on disco ships, tearing through the galaxy, corrupting and destroying stuff. This is Eredar territory, and Eredar like things a bit prettier. If you want an idea of what Eredar civilization looked like before the Burning Legion arrived, then a pretty good place to look is probably Talador on Wad Draenor. This is, after all, a place where the Draenei had time to settle and rebuild and recreate the world that they'd left behind, but this is still essentially a refugee city. Talador is basically the Draenei equivalent of this. Their homeworld is much grander, a civilization which was, after all, the most impressive Sargeras had ever encountered, and he's a motherfucking titan. We do know something of the capital city of Argus, Makari. In Bloodmist Isle, Jazera of Makari tells us how he remembers his hometown. The walkways were lined with precious minerals, the rivers glittered even in complete darkness, and we also know that the land around Makari is purple, because in Legion there's an AP item called the Purple Hills of Makari, and the thing is, that purple soil is still there, and if the land is still intact, who's to say that the city isn't too? Archimonde and Kil'Jaden and Velen both called Makari their home, so why wouldn't they keep it looking glittering and awesome like they always did before? Legion has already done an amazing job of giving us elven architecture that is clearly Fel-infused, but still recognisably elven, and I think that Argos will be the same, but more so. I'm expecting purple, I'm expecting blue and pink, and I'm expecting lots of it. And there might just be another clue to how Argus is going to look when we get there, in an unused, unfinished dungeon in the game files called simply Legion Dungeon. Now the footage here is used by kind permission of our great friend Hayven Games, and you can find a link to the original video in the description below, but here we have what appears to be an Eredar civilization split apart by Fel. Now obviously this is just the bare bones we get here, and most of this stuff is clearly placeholders, and there's nothing to say that it's Argus at all in the first place. Just as many people think that it might be a kind of a Caverns of Time look at an alternative Draenor if the Legion had invaded just before it got destroyed and turned into Outland. But what if this is the designer's first experiments with what Argus might look like? And with that in mind, there's loads of tantalizing things, even here, a destroyed and abandoned portal. Is this the portal we follow Kil'Jaden through to get to Argus? Or maybe, as its design suggests, it's the portal that Archimonde entered into Draenor from at the end of WoD. And there's a city at the top of the hill in this dungeon, which is the Warlord's Akindown model. But again, could this be a placeholder for Makari itself? That is, after all, the obvious place to attack if we're serious about stopping the Legion once and for all. But who will we find when we get there? And there are two types of people that we're going to meet when we get to Argos. People we team up with, and people we kill. On our team is obviously Illidan. I imagine Loxrathian and his army of light will probably want to tag along, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if Turalyon made his long-awaited in-game return too, to lend an extra hand. Oh, and it's probably about time that Anduin actually did something too, so maybe he'll be there. Just hope there aren't many bells in Makari. He's not great with bells, Anduin. And I think as far as gameplay goes, it's likely that Argos is essentially going to be a playable zone in the Tanan jungle or Broken Shore mold, but not green, okay? And we'll see us gaining a foothold on the planet and preparing for our assault. I tell you what would be really handy, actually. A garrison. Seriously, you know, you're far away from home on a hostile world with only a handful of your best men. What you really need to do is... Yeah, no, I know. Obviously, the last thing Blizzard is going to do is give us garrisons to get upset about on Argos. But maybe it's time for that player or guild housing that everyone has been literally begging for the last decade. Pretty big new system for Blizzard just to drop in there like that, but why not? They've already pulled out all of the stops with Legion so far, so why stop now? But of course, the most interesting question by far for me is not what daily quests we're going to have to do to build up our Army of Light reputation, it's who exactly are we going to fight there? Because the last boss of whatever raid we find on Argos, Assault on Makari, is most likely going to be the final boss of the expansion. And it has to be a boss more impressive and more meaningful than Gul'dan and Kil'Jaden, both of whom we've beaten already to get here. Archimonde is already dead, and that's official, that's canon, that's scientific fact, and you can't argue with science. So I don't know about you, but for me, there's only one person it possibly can be, because there is only one person more important than Archimonde and Kil'Jaden in the Burning Legion. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to your final boss of the Legion expansion, Sargeras. Because it's got to be, hasn't it? After Gul'dan, a fight that was 2 expansions in the making, and Kil'Jaden in the bowels of one of the most iconic locations in Warcraft lore in the Tomb of Sargeras, anything other than the big man himself is just going to be a massive, massive letdown. And of course, this obviously raises its own set of problems. We can't really fight Sargeras because he's a titan. He's unfeasibly large. He can destroy whole planets with his sword, that kind of shit. No, if we fight Sargeras, it's going to have to be through an avatar, as is traditional. But who or what will his avatar be? Well, the noises from the people who work at Blizzard at the very beginning of Legion suggested that the final boss would be someone unexpected and who has been with us all the way through the expansion, which for me presents a number of pretty exciting possibilities. Now, obviously, we at the channel are still holding out for Khadgar, just because I want to kill him, obviously, although we would need a different sidekick for the weekly reset. But I could live with that. There's Nomi, but I'd like to think that Blizzard would give us a fight that we actually stand a chance of winning, and frankly, that fucker is indestructible. And there's also Velen. Velen has been with us all the way through Legion, and what better avatar could Sargeras ask for than the one being left alive, equally as powerful as the 2 Eredar lords that we've already taken out? Velen has gone through the ringer in this expansion already with his son dying, and might he just be angry and irrational enough to let his guard down and allow himself to be corrupted by Sargeras somehow? It would certainly be a fitting end to the Burning Legion, defeating the Sargeras-possessed Velen on his own homeworld, in his own house even, to finally put an end to the Fell Titan once and for all. If that all seems just too unbearably sad for you, don't worry, because I don't think that we'll actually be physically killing Velen himself. He needs to pop up again many years later to hang out with Logan Anduin and see off the Void Lords, doesn't he? So don't worry, he's gonna be okay, eventually. After we've kicked his ass and stolen all his loot, he won't mind. So that's my call, guys. Sargeras inhabiting the body of Velen in the palace of Makari will be the final act of Legion. And then a quick cup of tea before heading back to try and stop whatever shit Queen Ashara and the old gods are starting at the beginning of the next expansion. I don't know, eh? Thank you for joining us today. What do you think is going to be on Argus? Let us know. I need to know. I won't be able to sleep until I know what you think. Put it in the comments below. A special extra big thank you to all of our lovely patrons, as always, who give their actual real life money to help make this show happen. Guys, thank you so much. Without you, these videos would be so rare that no one would even believe you if you told them that you'd seen one. If you did enjoy the video today, you can like it if you like, and if you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it, and remember, my name is the Blue Recluse. Everyone at the Blue Recluse. I'm off to have a shave in time for tomorrow's weekly reset episode, but for me, Taliesin, and Evertel, who she is here, she's just outside building a wall. Cheerio.